Welcome to Different Thought, where I got diamond Rolex with gators on my feet. Got to prepare for every day of the week. My hair is done, fingernails too. Six button down, I don't know what to do. Must be the money.
What be the
Getting
money?
them on, must be the money.
What be the
No, I
money?
can't go wrong, must be the money.
What be the money?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Different Thought Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hayes, and this is my co-host.
Bo.
Alright. I'll give you that. It's fitting for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so what's up, everybody? I know we've been out for a while. We missed us last August. We had to get some things rearranged and pay a couple bills, do all that good stuff. So we back here.
Do something strange for a piece of change, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's you by
My
yourself.
fault.
That's
My
you by
fault.
yourself. All right. So let's get this thing moving. So first we're gonna start off with our shot. So I'm gonna take a shot for you. I'm gonna take a shot, man. I believe I'm in a season of giving people their flowers. I wanna shout out my cousin Curtis, Curtis Richardson. And it's Curtis Richardson. Yeah. Mhm.
You done messed up your cousin's name?
But anyways, sorry, Curtis. You know it's all with love.
My bad, Kurt.
But Curtis, man, I got to spend some time with him in New Orleans, and man, I'm just proud of that man to know his story, know where he came from, what his background, and all the things that he's been through. We were talking about that while we were in New Orleans, and man, just want to say that extremely proud of you, brother. Keep doing what you do, and I'm drinking entrepreneurs. So yeah, shout out to Curtis.
That's what's up, man.
Bo.
Keeping it simple today. I too am sipping on Nathaniel Green. Man, I'm just glad that college football and football in general is on the way back. It's a sport that I love and I love to participate in. So shout out to the game of football coming back. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to play this year because just went to the knee doctor today. Be going back for MRI next week, and more than likely my meniscus is torn. So
How you do that?
it's been like that for a while. It's just been like a time bomb type thing.
I know you.
Yes. So it's just to the point.
ACL you had already torn?
Yeah. It's just to the point where it's like I can't do much other than sit, and even then, sitting hurts sometimes.
Jason, you got 60-year-old legs.
Hey man, don't you worry about my legs, Charlie Murphy.
Alright, man. So we're gonna keep this thing moving with our straight like that. Bo, Mr. Nose, you
Yes, Bo knows. Today, Bo is going to get it off his chest, and because Bo is trying to, increase his personal wealth and develop the property of Chattanooga. But I have city officials that I pay taxes to and that I pay fees to that are taking their time and doing the things that they need to do. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna be responsible for reviewing technical documentation, at least be helpful in doing so. Don't tell me to bring you something and then I bring you that thing and then you tell me that it's wrong. Just do what you're supposed to do. And if it's that much of a challenge, call somebody or answer the phone when I call you. That's all I'm saying. Just don't go MIA and just be like, oh, sorry, you can't. It's like, get out of here. Get out of here with all of that. Tired, bro.
my straight like that, man, is we have a homeless problem.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
So as I said, I was in New Orleans here recently, and it was very depressing to see the level of homelessness that's around that area, and it's just that's it. Like I don't know how else to put it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of sad. Yeah. Oh, and New Orleans. I know y'all probably gonna hate me if this
Uh-oh.
go viral.
Uh-oh.
Y'all pretty nasty, man. Like y'all clean it up. Bourbon Street is beer garden street. This is what it, because like you ain't paying attention to how if you walk down Bourbon sober, dog, you like
Oh, it's yeah, because I have.
Lord, have mercy. Anyways, all right. So let's.
I'm pretty sure Grandmaster Flash made a song about that.
Man,
people pissing on the street though they just don't care.
Yeah, it's definitely that. So yeah. Anyways, keeping this thing moving. So today, in celebration of college football coming back, we're gonna do something a little more light on the light side. Well, I guess it's light. We'll talk about college football and these NIL deals.
NIL.
I feel like when you said it the first time, it needed to be like it's in the game. It's in the game.
These kids won't know nothing about that.
Man, what? So for those you do not know what NIL stands for, it is name, image, and likeness. So recently, I think it was last year, the NCAA, and a lot of other states said that it was okay for now these college athletes to make money and profit off of their name, image, and likeness. And what does that mean? It means that basically if Bo Jackson over here, Mr. Bo knows.
Oh yes.
If he decided, hey, I want to put my name on a shirt and sell the shirt, I could do so. Prior to that, he couldn't do that. Or hey, if I want to be a spokesperson for a brand or a fast food chain, I can do so.
Well, you could do so before, but there were consequences.
Yes.
Now, it's wide open.
It's wide open. So, I guess let's start off with this. So, with college football entering into this new era of college, where college athletes can earn payoff off their name, image, and likeness of the NIL, what does this mean for the college athlete and the colleges? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, if Bo Jackson had NIL, like when he was playing all the sports, man, come on, man. Bo would be the richest man in the world. That dude could do everything. Like, come on, dog. So? He would, man, come on. I mean, like his name, image, and likeness.
They didn't come up well.
Worked in so many different ways. It's just like him and Jordan, him in college. I'm talking about Bo in college, not Bo in the professional.
People also don't realize that Bo was actually the number one selling shoe until he got hurt.
Yeah,
and it wasn't Jordan, but when Bo got hurt, that's when they shifted to the area.
I'm just thinking college, man. Like Bo would be killing the game in college. You couldn't tell that man nothing. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I digress.
So how do you think it's going to affect college football going forward, or college sports going forward?
I mean, I think the whole name, image, and likeness thing really came about because of college football. I mean, I think people get caught up between college football and college basketball. I'm just saying people get caught up in the major sports and don't consider like the impact that this has on the smaller sports. And, is the lacrosse player, the soccer player, the softball player, they're going to get the same treatment. I guess they get the same opportunities, but it's like I almost feel like it should almost be like a pool and it be distributed like that as far as like, kids being able to do that. Because hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but I almost feel like at some point, because there's no contracts involved, it's literally just individuals acting on their own, that potentially it could create locker room problems eventually. Or, because it's like, oh man, you making this money, I can't even eat, blah, blah, and all this stuff. You can't. And hopefully, if the star quarterback gets this big deal, gets $1 million, what's his name, Bryce Young in Alabama, he'd be like, hey man, I'm good at what I do, but I'm gonna break you off a little something, whatever, to help his fellow student athletes out, because that's what I'm afraid of. Is like it's a Wild West, man.
Well, so I got a couple things. So I agree, but I also think about it like this, you brought up something about like players and competition. So I don't know his name. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the quarterback at Clemson. So people don't realize he had a deal with Bojangles. And the only reason I know this is because
Bojangles.
my in-laws are big Clemson fans, and Bojangles is big with Clemson other people. I don't know why, but yeah, it is.
Where was Bojangles started?
I don't know.
It might have been in South Carolina.
Maybe. I don't know.
South Carolina.
I don't know about the
I
Bojangles.
don't know about the Bojangles.
I'm from Big Mike, South Carolina. No, I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. But anyways, so with that, he had a very bad year last year.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been rumors that he kept his starting job because he had signed a deal with Bojangles, and Bojangles is actually a big sponsor of the Clemson as well.
Definitely conflict of interest.
And so that's gonna
ain't no paper to say you can't.
And you got this weird deal where you have transfer portal as well. So
the transfer portal. That's the crazy part. That's really the thing for me that's like throwing me off, because I'm like, who plays where, when, and why, and all of this stuff. Like,
so I think that's gonna be interesting to see how they handle that.
I mean, I ain't mad about it as a Vol fan because the talent,
But the other part that you said that's interesting is when you were talking about, what was the other point you made?
The smaller sports.
The smaller sports, or no, it was the Wild West, and everybody, these bigger schools and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as smaller sports, that was the other thing. I think that you're going to see a shift in where, because you already are seeing it, where these smaller sports like your lacrosses are going to get bigger. Because when I was in school, lacrosse was just a thing like private school kids did all the time. Now you starting to see more kids want to play lacrosse. And I think that that's going to grow because, hey, I may not be able to get a full ride
playing football,
but I can get a ride playing lacrosse. And then, hey, lacrosse is a majority rich person sport, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so, you're gonna have bigger boosters that care, like, especially in your Ivy League schools.
There's definitely some opportunities there. I mean,
and then the other part is like you got soccer's on it's up and coming sport.
Oh yeah.
And so, I think that you're going to see that. I think that there is going to be a little disparity there, but you also get like thinking like, high schools got fishing teams now.
Yeah.
And so now with the NIL,
I mean, whatever somebody's willing to sponsor, basically. It's
whatever's important to me, I can go out and be like, I'm gonna get my money towards it. So, but it also made me think about like, everybody was getting on, the whole Nick Saban versus everybody, or Nick and what was it, Fisher, Jimbo. but I think people were missing what Nick was trying to say. So let me give you back. I'm not a Bama fan. I only reason I give Nick a bone because he got my Tigers one championship. Go Tigers! You're welcome, all you Alabama fans.
Go Tigers!
Go Tigers! Go Tigers! But with Nick, what Nick was trying to get at was, hey, if we're not careful, because he did this with what is it? What's the RPOs, run pass option offense? He did this with RPOs as well. He was like, if y'all want to play by these rules, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna master it. And oh, by the way, I got bigger pockets to get everything I want. And guess what? I'm gonna beat you a lot. I'm gonna just drag you. And I think that's what Nick was trying to say. It didn't come out that way, but I think if you really read what he was saying, he was basically just like, your smaller schools are not going to flourish in this type of Wild West gunslinger type of mentality, because you're going to like it used to be the two richest schools was Alabama and Texas. Now it's Alabama and Texas A&M. Texas A&M has the most money. So, and Texas A&M getting a lot of good players, and so what you think about that?
I mean, in terms of bigger schools versus smaller schools, I mean, it's like, I think it's the same thing like you were saying with smaller sports versus bigger sports. Because, there's only 22 people that can play on the field at the same time, right? In terms of football, 10 in basketball. So at the end of the day, I want to play. I mean, I wouldn't want to go anywhere to sit on the bench for 3 years and then go play maybe play my senior year, assuming that they ain't gonna find somebody else better than me as a freshman or whatever to come in and take my place. So it's like I think there's enough talent and enough, AAU sports and all these things where all these kids get cultivated to do this one thing that the talent could possibly be more evenly dispersed across conferences and across schools and even, with Dion even, there's opportunities for HBCUs and other smaller schools in that space to pick up talent, and possibly grow that way. I mean, I think your SEC is kind of like one of them things like the ball has been rolling for a long time and it's picking up steam as we thought it would.
Well, I think you're also gonna see where kids are gonna be like, you know what, I don't need to go to the big school. I can go to a small market, dominate the small market.
Yeah.
Get I may not get $1 million to go to this small market, but I'll get enough to be substantial for a little while.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Ja Morant is a prime example of that. Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't be Ja Morant if he went to a bigger school. I don't think.
Yeah, because they probably would have not let him play the way he played. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his style of play probably would have not have gone well with the Dukies.
Yeah, he wouldn't have. Imagine that him trying to play like he wanted to play a Duke. Come on now.
The Dukies, that's the problem. The Dukies, I said Dukies. Where's Dookie? Anyways, UNC all the way Tar Heels, by the way. But nah, man, I think there are pros and cons on all sides of this part. I think that you are gonna have these smaller schools that are gonna have hard times competing with getting kids, but they were already having a hard time competing with kids. Like people keep talking about bringing up small schools and things. I'm like, bro, these kids weren't going to these schools no way anyway. So what's the difference? What is going to really change? So but then we were talking about Neon. You brought up Neon Dion.
Yep.
And I that's my favorite football player of all time. Great player in my opinion. If not one of the top 5. So when Saban came out with all this, Dion kind of was like, hold on, man, like don't come for me, because I think Saban had said that Jackson State had paid the basically the number one athlete recruit like $1 million to come play at But it was like, I think Dion's formula and a lot of other black coaches, mind you, their mentality is, I think, going to be revolutionary in the fact that they're going to be able to be more successful and getting better players. Because Dion is like, who's the coach for the South Carolina basketball girls basketball?
The lady?
Yeah.
I can't. I know you're talking about, but I can't think of her name.
You should hear what she did, because when the NIL ruling came out, she called all her players and said, look, I got these agents, because she played in WNBA. She said, I got these agents. I'm going to set you over these agents. You go have these interviews. You pick your agent. You go get your money. And then once y'all get y'all money, in these 2 weeks, we done talking about this. Now we back to focus on basketball.
That makes sense. That does
focus on basketball. Instead, you got people like Saban, Jimbo Fisher,
the old guard.
That are like, we should be worried about paying. What are they gonna do with all that money?
The good old boys.
Yeah, what are they gonna do with all that money?
It's
the same thing you do it.
Right, exactly. It's a good old boy mentality, man.
Well, I say that, me, I'm gonna go extreme. I think it's like the slave mentality as well, because now
you use different words, but
yeah. But now that's why that was the other flip side of Saban. The other side of the coin that I think that people got so tied in on is Saban had a hard time in the NFL because he wasn't the highest paid person on the field.
He didn't have no control. He didn't have the same level of control.
He talking to grown men, not kids. And so now you have kids that are not going to ever make.
Well,
I don't think. Yeah,
they're not. Nah,
11 million in a year. Like, and if they do,
they need to go to the NFL.
Michael, no, I'm gonna be like M3. Why are you not out? I'm practicing right now, son. What are you doing?
Well, I think that's the other issue too. But keep going.
Oh no, that's part of the different
okay.
route. So,
all right.
So yeah, I think I think that's gonna be very interesting because I think that's part of the reason why you see people like your Dookie's Coach K retiring because he's like I can't control these kids no more.
Well, he's also old.
And it's it's people out here old, bro. It's people out here
Nah,
old.
he want to go out where he halfway on top, and he ain't even that. He was on his way down on the other end of
He
the.
was on his way down when he had Elton Brand, bro, and they lost to UConn. And yes,
Not Elton Brand.
I remember because Elton Brand was his first player to be like, bruh, NBA said they're gonna pay me, you know, almost 100 mil. Like I'm out, because everybody kept saying like, oh, you know, he has 100% graduation rate. Da 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 da. Yeah, because he controlled things. But then when people was like, man, I'm out.
But I mean, that's part of. I mean, I think that's in terms of coaching, teaching, whatever. You got to have a means to have somebody want to pay attention and listen to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's part of the mindset. Now, I think older guys are not going to be able to reconcile with that new thought process because, they stuck in their ways,
Well,
that's a different thing to do.
But see, that's my thing. Like, you know, people hot take. I've never thought Coach K was a great coach. I think he gets a certain type of player, and it's easy to manipulate and mold that certain type of player. And the only
That's what makes it a great coach.
no, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
I think great coaches can take anything and make something out of it. I think and then I also think a great coach will also be able, like I always say this, a good coach, a coach that cares will have, a coach that cares and the team knows. Excuse me, players will play better for a coach that feel like they care.
I agree, but at the same time,
if you look at like if you even follow like Dion right now and what he's doing at JSU, Dion is posting like, hey, I done got all these players in, and he's talking to his players like, oh, you want to go to the league? Hey, you don't have to be this standout, get all these receiving yards receiver. You can be that receiver that just can block well. You'll get on somebody's team. Somebody will pick you up for that.
And I understand all of those things and having those types of discussions. That makes sense. But at the same time, if you were Coach K or Belichick or whomever, you got your formula and you know what works for you. So he working within his strengths. If he picks a certain type of player that is malleable in a specific type of way, more power to you if it works for you. But I agree with you on that a great coach, or I think just a great human or leader can take anybody and lead them no matter what their circumstance is. That's true. But if you pay to win basketball games for a school, your job is to win basketball games at all costs. That's the whole point of it.
And I understand that, and I get that part. I just think that sometimes we get so caught up in, he's so legendary because of this and that. And I'm like, I look at, gosh, I forget the coach's name. He was the coach at Arkansas. He was a great coach. What was it? I forget what they called it, but he was like influential in like fast breaks and things of that nature and up tempo offense and defense. But if you watch, it was they did a 30 for 30 on him, and you watch a 30 for 30, the players were like, I genuinely will run. Or Coach V, I genuinely will run through a wall for this person.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what it is too.
I don't hear nobody being like, yeah, Coach K, I'll run through a wall.
Probably not.
And then the man got and then he got on to start coaching the USA teams, and so then he talking to all these top prospects like, oh yeah, man,
I mean, but at the end of the day, it's a thing that started a long time before we were born. Even it's whatever that is, and then it's just marketing after that.
I get it.
And you had Duke. It's just you had the money and the horsepower behind it to market it. So
that's the other part.
That's what created that.
That's the other part that always bothers me is having played college sports very briefly, but being around other college athletes is, you always hear, oh man, they getting a free ride to Duke. No, they're not. Or they getting a free ride to UNC. No, they're not. Because I remember when I first got to Tech and wanted to play ball, I remember the coaches at the time said, oh, you can't major in engineering and play football. And I was like, well, I'm going to Tennessee Tech. I'm probably not going to the league unless I just, have these breakout years. And if I do, I still need something to fall back on. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like that is not to get on my soapbox.
Yeah, let's roll this back into the NIL discussion.
No, but
I mean,
it goes into the
tie it together.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's a whole old guard mentality versus the new guard mentality of basically we have these discussions about, what are these kids going to do? And I'm kind of like, this is, at least these kids will have something to show for the work that they put in.
Absolutely.
I think, and then what I meant, and that's what I was trying to get at about with the whole, like, they're going to school for free education. Well, you heard Richard Sherman say it. He was like, when he said, what was it, Coach Harbaugh was like, you're not here to get an education, you're here to play football for Stanford. And he was just like, but I'm at a prestigious school, and everybody likes to act like I got this free ride. But if I'm like, hey, Coach, I need to miss this practice because I got this big exam.
Yeah, it don't work both ways, does it?
Yeah, it don't work both ways. And so at least with the NIL, I can say, like, all right, I at least got something to show for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and leverage, for that matter.
Yeah.
Because it's like, coach is like, hey, coach, man, I gotta study for this exam. Well, then you ain't gonna play. All right, well, In and Out paying me like they paying me $35,000 just to hang out. So
you're here for my reps. They're gonna be mad at you anyway.
Right. So it does give you leverage if you are on that side of the coin. Like when you do want to.
Yeah, that's a different spin. Like
where you do want to learn. I mean,
like these kids need to learn like how to use their name, image, and likeness for leverage and take care of themselves. Like, I know there was at one point in time they were trying to create a union amongst the college football players, which I think it should be done.
Yep.
Because I mean, as a college athlete, you do not really have a say in basically your body. Like, you hurt, take the shot, get back on that field. That's what you're here for. So,
I think they do now. I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and then that's the other thing. I think it's actually gonna be good for college sports. Like, if a basketball player can make a good money, I don't think he'll go to the league as quickly. I'm hoping that he stays because that's when, to me, that was the golden era of college basketball. When you had
when you had them saying
and it was like this is their junior year, and
you don't hear very many juniors
yeah,
anymore. You barely.
But the crazy part is
crazy you're sophomores sometimes.
If you look at a lot of the recent, champions.
Yeah, the better teams that are making it. Yeah, of course.
They're older. So.
But I mean, I think everybody knows that is the case. It's just like
it ain't important to them.
Yeah, it's not important. It's like, all right, I'm
gonna
get this money, and that's cool. And people ain't in it for the wins and the prestige in that space. Like, who cares about being a legend? I'm trying to feed my family.
So, in continue on this conversation, like meritocracy versus capitalism. That was something you kind of brought up.
Oh yeah, the meritocracy. So we already we kind of talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, meritocracy is about being rewarded for your effort, more or less. Like engineering, for us is like meritocracy in engineering. Either you're right or you're wrong on your calculation or whatever you're trying to design. It either works or it doesn't. And I think for meritocracy is like for football players or any athlete, it's all about the work and the effort you put in and being rewarded in kind for that. And I think the challenge and kind of tying it into what I was saying earlier, the capitalism piece of it is like somebody could be rewarded, I guess, unfairly or more maybe than others. Like a lineman is never going to get an NIL deal as big as a quarterback, even though a lineman does more work and has more risk of injury.
And is a reason why
running backs and quarterbacks can do as well as they do. And that's the part that I was like, man, this could cause some rifts in there because what movie is that? Well, I always think of like Little Giants and like all the football movies where they do the lookout block.
I think the other one you talking about is The Game.
Yeah, or to replace any of them, but they all just like turn around, quarterback just let him get hit.
You raped my mama. No.
So it's like, if you really think about it, could that really happen? Could you imagine like watching like a prime time college football game, and there's some disagreement or argument in the locker room before they come out of halftime, and like whoever the star quarterback is, they're like, man, oh, they paying you all this money? Oh, okay, showtime. All the linemen just agree, and they just let them have it. Like, could you imagine that?
But this goes back to good coaching. That's why I said
it does. But it's good. It's good leadership. It's what it's going to take to do that.
Dion he knew it was coming, and Dion was like, I already got trucks for my line.
Exactly.
When they finally get this deal
exactly.
done. And that thing set up.
And I think, like you said, the Alabamas and maybe even the A&Ms, the guys, the schools with the older coaches that can't really see the bigger picture in this. I think that's where you have the greatest potential for that to happen. It's like you got guys just gonna give up on their star player because their star player, they don't have the leadership and somebody to keep them grounded in that space. Yeah. And then you got your assistant coaches and all those guys that are like running around, trying to talk to guys. But at the end of the day, it all goes up to the top and what leadership says. And if Nick don't get right and see that, he's gonna have some problems. There's gonna be some discourse in that locker room for sure.
Yeah, I think I definitely think that. I know that there are some places now where, like, if you're a lineman, I can't remember. I think it's Arkansas, where if you're a lineman, you get free food for the whole time you in. It's like a barbecue spot.
Well, you're gonna have to.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah. And so
I think
you're gonna see a lot more of that. I mean, you just people gotta be smart about it. It's, we all know the quarterback gonna get money. If and we all know wide receivers, they're gonna get out here and do them. You know what I'm saying? And they allow them in the cornerback.
That's the nature of the beast.
Nature of the beast. But you're right. Like, be careful with these running backs. Message all your running backs from one fellow running back to the other.
Because you're gonna mess around. Guarantee you're gonna have a Bowie Miles out there.
Man, all y'all ain't no dang Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry probably could do it without a line. I mean, he probably wouldn't win the Heisman, but
he gonna move it a couple yards without a line.
But all y'all, some
everybody
of y'all look
ain't
like
able.
me.
Everybody ain't able, boy.
5'6", $185. Talking about some. Oh yeah, I can do it. All right.
Right.
Okay.
So hopefully there are good coaches in these spaces that help cultivate these kids and mold them to help them understand what all of this means and how it works for the greater good of the team.
And that's why I'm hoping that, like, the next thing I want to kind of swing into is like the effect on HBCUs. I'm hoping that HBCUs will get a little hip to the game and realize you have something right here.
Yeah.
Because you have coaches that can relate to kids.
Yeah.
And so when you have a coach that can relate to kid, he's gonna know, like, hey, I want to make sure you go get paid. I'm gonna make sure. Now you may not get this $1 million deal that you gonna get at Alabama, but guess what? I'm gonna make sure that everybody get paid, and so then y'all all gonna look good.
Yeah.
So
that's how it has to work.
And so I think that'd be good. So before we get into the different thoughts, so all in all, good for the game, bad for the game.
All in all, I think it's good for the game in terms of football. My concern is still. Hopefully this trickles down to like the smaller sports. I mean, I ran track in college, and it's like
what?
Yeah, you knew that, dog.
No, I did not.
How'd you not know that?
I did not know you ran track. What'd you run?
I ran the 400 and the 2, and the 400 hurdles.
Relay or just 400 hurdles?
The worst decision ever. Actually, I was forced to do it, but to train for the 400.
Bruh.
Yeah, it was hard. But. For real.
You said 400 hurdles, dog. The first image I had in my head was.
It was not good. I was not good at it.
Dude, just be hitting every hurdle.
It was not good, dog.
He just got some points to start kicking the hurdle.
Not good. Too short to run that stinking race. But yeah, but I mean even at UTC, the program was underfunded because they're trying to put a lot more emphasis towards football team and yada yada, and so it's like just experiencing that. It's like, dang man, like what if we actually had like more than one track coach to like.
If I was an AD, the smart thing to do is start letting these kids that can play 2 sports. Talk to these coaches like you need to let them do it, because if you got a kid that because a lot of times you have a kid that plays football that also runs track. But they don't talk about him running track. they talk about more about him playing football.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's getting an NIL deal, that brings attention to the track team, which brings more people to.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that inevitably is going to happen. I mean, it's just as we know and as we talk about, wherever the money goes is where the attention goes.
Yep.
So we're gonna see how I'm excited to see how it all plays out. I just hope nobody gets hurt by a lookout block. That's what it comes down to for me. I feel like it's gonna happen at least once in one of these games. We're gonna see. It's a matter of time, man.
All right, so for the different thought, excuse me. I kind of want to take a different spin on this. Like, are we stepping in the wrong direction as far as are we further perpetuating or promoting the message to our young generation that the only way out is to dribble, run, pass, riddle, or sing? Basically, in long story short, is this, what message are we sending to the youth about the value of education? Because at the end of the day, one thing that I keep seeing is you have a lot of kids, because I suffer from this, black role model issue here. Number one is, I thought, there was a time in my life where I was like, I'm a failure. I'm not famous. I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. I'm not rapping. I'm not this cool dude. I'm just an engineer. But then when I look at the salary and break it down, like, a lot of these people get this big compounded lump sum of money, but then they got to make it last for the rest of their lives, where I'm getting the same amount of money and it's increasing every year. So, I wonder if this is a step in the right direction for the black community. Not necessarily everybody else.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how you define black community, because the challenge is going to be, and like we talk about all the time, we ain't all in the same boat no more. Because you can watch college football games now. Sometimes they interview a brother and he sound like Ray Ray. Sometimes they interview a brother and he sound like Obama.
It's true.
So it's just like, but they both can get NIL deals, and they both can make it to the league.
Well, I guess my thing is that our community is such more.
I know which one you talking about, but
it's no, but we have a part of our community that had number wise has more percentage wise has more that is coming from that disparity where they don't have
no I got it.
So you might have a brother that you might have what's the brother that went to Florida State that was a Rhodes Scholar, you might have a brother like that that is very smart, that's an inspiration to brothers, but you still chances are and
you gonna look at Ray Ray and be like, he cool. I think from
I want to be like Ray Ray.
I think I don't personally.
I'm just saying.
I know you can have Ray Ray, but no, I think overall from a black community standpoint, based on you ain't gonna let me be successful. I think overall from a black community standpoint, in terms of the majority. Is it the right direction? I really want to
be determined.
I think so, because because it does put more emphasis on use your body to make money.
Yeah.
And that's because I actually had this conversation with some kids helping my buddy Kendall Martin out. He's a climber here, local black climber, really cool kid. He actually works where we're at. He's a chef. He's a drywall finisher. He does all kinds of crazy stuff. Dude works like a Jamaican. But he mentors young children and teaches them about outdoors and all that stuff. And I talked to some of the young kids and was actually asking them about, what they wanted to do, what they do now. And they were from 7th grade to high school freshmen. And pretty much all of them were like, yeah, man, I play football. I do this, I do that. And all of it was about things that you have to do with your body to be successful. And that was their mindset. Or rapping or something like that. I'm trying to be an artist. All right, cool. That's what's up. So I tried to have that conversation and explain to them, he just asked me to talk about engineering, like what that meant. And a lot of them were like, well, what's engineering? What's this? What's that? Desk job, blah, blah. And I just try to explain, it's like, you only got so much time to make a living off of your body. What are you going to do with the rest of that time? And that's what explaining the difference of the point of education, why college athletes and why professional athletes, their careers are short, why they get paid the money they do. And like you said, so it's just like, helping. We got to do a better job of helping our youth understand that there are more things to do in life outside of what you see on TV. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
But I also think, here's the thing I always notice, right? Is that when you talk about the disparity of like, hey, when you talk about college athletes need to get paid, and you talk about, this college athlete had millions watching and made the school millions and billions of dollars and couldn't buy a pizza. It's usually those stories are being told by blacks.
Oh yeah,
you don't ever see the story being told by a white person. And then the other part of it is that now that we have the NIL deals, you only hear the deals. Like when I even did, like I Googled NIL, right? And all the players that they talked about were black. They didn't talk about the white players that benefited from this. They talked about the black players. And so I feel as if, as with culture as a whole, like trap music, or anything like that, is that you continue to perpetuate that stigma that, and the only reason I'm so passionate and it's so dear to my heart is like when we've talked about this several times. When I was at a private school in high school, a lot of white people thought I was only there to play a sport, and so is this going to continue then?
To perpetuate the stereotype. That's really what the question is, right?
Yeah, it really
and possibly, but I look at it like this. Okay, yes, it could perpetuate the stereotype, but at least there is a potential outcome and a benefit.
Yeah.
Because before it was just perpetuating the stereotype of, well, you only at Princeton to play football or play basketball. Now it's like, yeah, I'm at Princeton to play football and basketball, but I also can make $50,000 off of, whoever wants to sponsor me because of this agent. So at least there's opportunity for, the kid to get some type of income and to be a benefit to him. And even, just give an opportunity to learn how to spend money at that point,
and that's the other thing.
So that's the other. It is TBD, 100% TBD.
I think us as a community, as grown men and women that have lived a little bit, we should definitely be getting in touch with these young men and women, and advising them like, hey, you got $1 million deal, but let's look at this in the grand scheme of things. What does that really mean? How much is getting in taxes? Why don't you put this back, and then and later on be able to use it for something like that. So
hopefully they got the right people around them. I think I feel like the numbers might be half and half. Half of them do, half of them don't.
But I'm just saying that's part of that's a responsibility of our community.
That is, yeah.
It takes a village. So we gotta start saying, we gotta step up to the plate and say, all right, you got this money, but and these are the things you could be putting back into the community to make sure that to change this narrative. I agree with you.
We shall see, but
yeah.
I think
it's still good.
Overall, I think it's a good thing because at least I feel like it's not a Mandingo fight at the end of the day.
I think it's good. I just think we gotta be careful
for all sports.
I think we gotta be careful, and listen to the corner and watch the hook, as Cool Breeze would say. But listen to your corner and watch the hook, and just be aware of your surroundings, be aware of your audience, read the room, and understand, learn from your Dave Chappelle's and others like.
Yeah, that would be, if I had to push a message to any of these college students that are getting this opportunity, understand your leverage.
Yeah.
Because you have it where you didn't have it before, where the Deions and the Bows didn't have it. At the end of the day, it's like you got something that nobody else has had before you. Use it and understand it, and then do the best thing you can with it. And I feel like a lot of the younger kids are more socially conscious on a lot of things, maybe than athletes were in the 90s and 2000s for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they keep that in mind. And you got athletes like LeBron James and others that push that and help them see that too. So I think the legacy of those guys is gonna like really influence the younger cats anyway.
Yeah, I'll give like. I'll let us both get one last thing. Like I want to push, like learn trades, learn other things to make money. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with learning when I was coming up, it was faux pas to learn a trade. Like, oh, I'm not gonna be no welder or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Man, they make money,
Yeah.
bro. Like, so
That's what I told those kids. I was like, look, you ain't got to go to college. I was like, forget college, man.
Yeah.
Go to trade school, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
learn trades, learn something that you can do while you're in college to make money, so
Yeah.
that you're not dependent on
sure enough.
that sport or whatever it is that you're there for. So.
I was shortchanging brakes when I was in college. Had the tools in the back of the truck, man. I was mobile brake changing service. Yeah, man. Fixing everybody's car.
You got any last comments before we get into before you eat?
Man. No.
Brother Kyle, you got anything?
Oh no.
Man, Kyle,
didn't cut in
look,
at all,
Kyle,
bro.
Kyle back there is Sleepy Brown today, or Sleepy Chocolate. My bad.
I agree with the come in a little bit. I agree with the NIL. Just on the strength that these players may or may not make it to the league, but they risk their lives every single play for a university that is benefiting off their backs tremendously. Like, it's $1 billion industry. So the fact that these young men get the opportunity to get money, I think that is good, because you know, a lot of these players, they come from poverty, and I know I didn't even grow up in poverty like that, but it's like, when you get your refund check, you know what I'm saying? You think you balling out here. I'm gonna throw something back to moms. I might throw something to my brother. You know what I'm saying? So when you coming from nothing,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, they might be using that money to help their mama get a new car. You know what I'm saying? Pay some light bills or something like that. So I agree with the NIL. Honestly, I don't see nothing wrong with it. You know, just on the strength. I mean, there's something wrong with everything, but I just say that. Just on the strength that they don't get in trouble now for getting this money, because they was getting in trouble for doing it all the other time. So now we just disguise it as,
taking away the reasons,
right. We just disguise it as boosters now. All right, the booster's gonna pay you, but we're gonna say it's an NIL deal. Look, I need to see somebody. I need to see some of these commercials. That's all I know. Like, all this name, image, and likeness. I don't want to see no social media posts. I want to see these young dudes on some commercials or something.
And maybe this could be for the topic for the on second thought. We'll discuss it, but I think that now we should go back and retrofit. You know, like and look at some of these players that got such a bad rep. Peter Ward,
Reggie Bush,
James Wilson. Like, they didn't do nothing wrong.
James on something else, brother.
Yeah,
James on something else.
You can save it for the second thought, but I look.
I mean, James
He got some free crab legs.
That's what I'm saying. If nothing else, James should have been sponsored by some contact lenses or something. That brother was blind. He needed some active lenses or something.
Y'all get off on the But anyways, let's get into this before you eat. So our before you eat today is going to be about, in the spirit of college football, we're going to talk about the first HBCU game/championship. So the first football game between HBCU schools was played on December 27th of 1892. On that day, Johnson C. Smith defeated Livingston College, as it was the only game played by HBCU schools that year. Johnson C. Smith team could no doubt claim to be the season's HBCU national championship by default. However, the earliest documented claim to such a title was Livingston in 1906. Just throw that out there. Led by Captain Benjamin Butler Ben Church. It is not immediately clear who exactly determined that Livingston was the best team, or if they simply declared themselves champions. So, as always, challenge you all to go out there, read more about the HBCU national championship. It's kind of I found it very interesting that the first championship game was basically the first game ever. So, but depending on how
who winning today,
depending on how you look at it, so, as I said, you know, some people would say that Johnson C. Smith was the first national champion, HBCU national champion, and some would say no, it'll be Livingston in 1906. 06 is good bros. I had to.
That's
Anyways.
fine.
Anyways, but as always, challenge you to go out there, research, do your research, and look into all that stuff. And as always, I challenge you to do this: think, do, be different. Thank you for listening to Different Thought Podcast.